a guest who is a playwright and actor based in Newfoundland. Paul David Power is joining us on the phone. Not sure exactly where you are at the moment, Paul, so forgive me. But this play that you're working on is based on your own experience, titled Crippled. And you are leading community discussions. Now, this is really, I think, really cool throughout the East. And what you're doing is table readings to do this. You were on our morning show back in September, and we appreciate you rejoining us today on the program. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, guys?
Oh, awesome. Great to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. How did your play Roomies do?
Roomies did really well. It was that's a play as well. It's a comedy. One of the characters in there has a disability. We did the the Nova Scotia Atlantic Fringe, and had a great turnout.
And good response and everything to the production?
Yeah, I think the big payoff, or why we do this as artists. A few people came up to me after we had performed the show, who actually lived with a disability, either physically or a mental health issue, and told me firsthand how much they enjoyed the play and how much they enjoyed that someone with a disability was represented in a story on the stage. So that's what really makes it all worthwhile, that you sort of make that difference.
You can't beat that connection.
It's kind of...
No, it's sort of, we do it not to sell tickets or make money per se, but more so, that sort of reminds you in this competitive world why you actually got into doing that.
I know some would say it's like the litmus test for it, but really what it is if you reach out to somebody and they get it and it affects them in the way that you as a playwright and a person giving shared experience of life, then you feel good.
That's right. You don't really know if it's going to work, especially when you're just having a relationship with yourself and the keyboard. And when you see that transcending on stage and actually reaching people who, like you said, get it, or what I was trying to write, that really makes it worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. So now, since Roomies, you've been hard at work. Tell us about what's been going on.
Well, I've been really fortunate getting back into the theater scene and playwriting. Roomies was my first play that I wrote several years ago, and it sort of ignited my passion taking that on tour for playwriting. So the Arts Council of Canada was great and gave me a grant.
Wow.
That allowed me to concentrate totally on the artistic side of my life and creating. So I was able to take several months to work on and create this play called Crippled, full time. And, it's been a great experience in writing that and sort of challenging myself as a writer, and also still incorporating the disability themes, but a total different way than with Roomies.
So tell us a little bit about, with getting the grant and being able to focus, for you, what does that do in the way of getting this out there and your next work or any works to follow? I mean, obviously, it's like you say, it's a really nice feeling getting the grant, because it recognizes your ability to do something, to be able to act on something that other people recognize it. But now comes this is what I'm going to do with it.
It really puts, I guess, a certain weight on it, or it takes playwriting from being a hobby to something that could quite possibly be, your full-time job for that. Not just, it helps pay your bills, but also you have people who are well recognized for their expertise, and, you apply for these grants and you had to present the whole project and your talents. And
yeah.
So you're getting an okay or a thumbs up from people who I admire from the industry. So it's a great incentive or a great push forward for yourself to believe in yourself, to go ahead and write this and believe in yourself.
Yeah, and what it also says a lot with writing the grant, what these people determining who gets it see in your prospective project.
Exactly. And I think a really good thing is that the Canada Arts Council has made some great strides forward. I dealt mostly with the Equity Office, who have been great and supportive in helping me apply. And they've really, really have put a more focus on, diversity in the arts, including persons with disabilities or deaf artists. And they also call it mad arts for people who are living with the challenge of mental health issues. And there's really, I think, a new understanding to wanting to share those perspectives or those artists with the rest of the country, and granting people money to be able to do these types of projects that focus either on those issues or the creators themselves are living those issues. I think it's a really great step forward that we really didn't see probably, 10, 15 years ago.
That's true. Now, Paul, tell us about the play Crippled, because this is more than just some topic you wrote about. This is something personal for you.
Yeah, it's a very personal play. I live with a disability. It's a combination of things. There's not really a name on it, but so your listeners can understand, I basically need the aid of crutches and leg braces to walk around, and I've had that since birth. So definitely Crippled is about growing up like that, growing up with a disability, and it traces all the way back to my childhood. And the title of the play, Crippled, part of it is about when I grew up, it was, the late 70s, early 80s, and the word crippled was still used. It's not socially acceptable today, but it was used then. And so when I was like 5 years old, that's how it was described, and that's how I described myself. I'm crippled. And it wasn't until you get older or whatever you notice the negative connotation with that word. But so that was part of where the title came from. And the play delves into childhood experiences or adolescent experiences, growing up with sort of that label on yourself and that stigma, and how you overcome that, or how it feeds into your own self-worth or your own personality. And, it's not always just a story of overcoming and reaching the top of the mountain. It has a lot of impact on, your personality and your confidence and how you view yourself, and how you feel others may view you.
Very interesting and so true. Paul David Power is a playwright and an actor. We're discussing his upcoming production in the future, down the road, play Crippled. You've been holding table readings, though, to kind of gauge the feedback. How do these help you with how does the feedback help you develop the show?
The table reads have been great. I applied to do across the Atlantic region these table reads. Basically, a table read is just reading the play, performing it basically at a table instead of a full production, just to hear what it sounds like and get audience reaction.
Right.
And the reaction's been great. The play is not just it's more about the character than just disability issues. So there's a lot of emotion in there about themes, including, sexuality. The character happens to be gay, as I am. So there's that sort of stigma of what comes with that, along with the disability, is explored, as well as grief and loss. And that all comes from my personal experience. So there's a lot of emotion in the play. So the feedback has been really great with people, laughing and crying and that sort of stuff. So that's the table read part of it. And that helps me as a writer figure out, does this sound as I thought it was going to sound, or are the audience getting what I have written? I might understand it in my own mind, but does that transcend to the audience understanding it? So it helps identify as well things that might not work, or things that have to be more clarified because the audience were a bit confused on that. But I would say so far, we had one here in St. John's, Newfoundland, where I am right now. And the night was great, and the feedback was great, and the audience was captivated, and really, really, really worthwhile.
Now, do you use the same readers all the time, or do you get different readers? And if you do, where do you get them?
Luckily, I'm involved in the theater scene, so that's a lot of friends who are actors or who have been in my projects before. And so here in Newfoundland, which is my home base, I have the St. John's Newfoundland arts community is fantastic. You tell them, your colleagues that what you're trying to do, and people would join in. So I had actors here in Newfoundland for that reading. And like I said, it's not a production yet, so money's always an issue. So I'm very fortunate. I have some ties in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Moncton, New Brunswick, with some actor friends who are going to help me out and read the piece, both in Halifax and New Brunswick.
Awesome. Paul, one of the things that comes to mind, and from my own theater experience, I call upon this, and even being involved in productions where a disability is a bit more out front or part of the show in some capacity. And with doing the table reads, I'm sure one of the things you're gauging with people, and like you said, does it need more clarification, are things such as those jokes that disabled people may have amongst ourselves, the appropriate things that we can kind of chuckle at, that other people need permission to kind of laugh about, or may not get it or understand it. So maybe you might want to speak to that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, take the title, for example, Crippled. I feel very comfortable using that, and I don't think anyone's going to say to me I can't, even though there is that negative connotation or a word, we really shouldn't use anymore. But I feel comfortable, and I think anybody living with a disability, if they know where I'm coming from, would feel the same way. Within the play, my character brings the audience down the road of what it was like to live with a disability. And yeah, there is a lot of humor in that. But the type of humor I use is, it's from the eyes of the person with a disability. Yes. So through their eyes, they can say what seems funny to them, or point, I guess, a different perspective at what some people do, thinking that they're being understanding when it comes to a disability, and how absurd it is. There's one story in the play there where my character is at a bar and someone comes up to the character, and basically the first line out of that person's mouth is, I just want to say how impressed I am that you were down here, that I know it takes a lot of guts to come into a bar, and they think, and this actually happened to me, it just made its way into the play, and they think they're being really, complimentary to see you at a bar. And, it's just a perfect example how someone immediately sees you differently because you look at it physically different. Because no one in the right mind would go up to just anybody and say, good for you to make it down to the bar. I mean,
well, good for you, old son. You made it in. You crawled into a bar and lifted your first bevy.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, what do you think, I'm the village idiot, or so.
Or maybe you were beamed down by the Enterprise.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh. Now, I'm curious, though, feedback you've received from people that are not part of the disabled community. What has been the commentary you've received from those people?
Really a new perspective or insight of how someone with a disability may think of a certain situation, or, that example I just used, how people talk, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I had, especially here in St. John's, I had a few people who were actually members of my family, or lifelong friends, who came up to me after and said, I never thought of that before. I never thought of how you might look at that or experience that, and that really shows me that it shed some light on the issue to people who thought they knew me very awesome. Well.
Well, that's very powerful because you're starting conversations.
Well, exactly, and that's what I wanted to do, and that goes back to the actual, there's sort of a two-part to these presentations I'm giving, which is also the panel discussion part that comes after the table read, which is a chance for people to talk more about disability in way of how it's represented in our theater scene or arts in general, and how we can improve that. And I use the play as an example to show you can do that. It can be creative. It can be entertaining. Why aren't we seeing more of that? At least in Atlantic Canada, is what I'm focused on.
Oh, wow. I love the fact that it's allowing people to know it's okay, ask questions, and including family members that may not have felt comfortable to approach you, to know that, hey, I never really thought about that, and maybe they weren't as comfortable to out and out come out with it and ask, but this is just so great. Where's your next table read?
We have I have two more scheduled. The next one is in Halifax. I got a great chance to partner with the Bus Stop Theater there.
Ooh, so nice space there.
It's great. It's, we brought roomies there as well, so I love that theater and I love the people there. So that's March 28th in the evening at 7 p.m. And then that's just followed by we're going to Moncton March 31st. I partnered with Hub City Theater there. I used to be artistic director for, and that's also at 7 p.m. At the Crossman Community Center. So I've incorporated 3 provinces from the Atlantic region to be able to do that.
That is
Excellent.
Beautiful. Well, thanks a lot, Paul, and good luck with it. This is beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys about it.